told them that if they could up it to 5,000 pills a week I knew someone who could move it for them. They wanted proof, so they gave me 5,000 pills on loan. They had zero problems getting a hold of it seconds after they claimed they couldn't get it. I went back to the Italians and sold it to them for $50,000. I went back to the Asian boys and gave them the money. No profit for myself. They were ecstatic. They ended up showing me their whole operation that supplied several US cities. Vegas, Salt Lake City, Louisiana, San Diego, Miami, and so on. They never wanted to tell me how big they were before. But now that I moved that much for them, I was in. I went back to the Italians and they said they could move those pills in New York in less than a week. Then they asked me for 40,000 pills. I thought that was a huge stretch, so I told them I would have to see. I went back to the Asian boys and to my surprise, they changed their tune. They were more aggressive than usual and it seemed like they were maybe a little jealous. I was always looking for an out because I knew that it was only a matter of time before I got fingered by a gang task force. I decided to make them an offer that I thought was a long shot. I told them that we had done good business for 3 years at that point and we partied a lot together. I told them that they were my friends and I didn't want anything to happen to them. I told them that I found out there was a detective who made one of my customers testify. I made up a person and said she was one of my customers. I said that after getting arrested, she disappeared on me. It was a total lie. I said that she got out of jail and the next day her apartment was empty. Everyone agreed that it sounded like she went into protective custody. I told them that I didn't want to do business with them anymore because I was afraid all of us would get busted. But I told them that I would hook them up with my connection who wanted the 5,000 pills and that they wanted to move a lot more. They saw the logic in what I was saying. By removing myself as the middleman, they would be able to expand and drop whatever heat I had on me. Of course, they told me that we were friends, but they reminded me that if I walked away after they let me and I ended up flipping, they would kill my family. There was an old man there who I heard was a member of the Chinese triad. He got angry at them for giving me that threat and yelled at them in Chinese. A minute later, someone came back with a bottle of scotch and poured shots for everyone. Suddenly my hair started standing up on the back of my neck. I had a feeling they were going to kill me. But we drank and everything seemed fine. A few days later, myself, the Italians and the Asian boys sat down in a steakhouse and I introduced everyone. Everyone just talked about sports, politics, the news and whatever else. No business, just introductions. I knew to do this because it was the Omerta way. Italian La Cosa Nostra does it that way and it is considered off limits to discuss business over dinner. One guy whose name was Furio walked me outside to talk. I think he stole the name from The Sopranos. But I wasn't going to tell him that. He wanted to know if I was getting a piece of the deal or if the Asian boys were muscling in on me. I told him that I am not the type to be muscled. I said that I would go after families as quickly as they would. I lied because I never killed anyone and I didn't intend to. But I knew I couldn't start stuff by accusing the Asian boys of muscling me. And I couldn't come off like a wuss either. I told Furio that I worked for the Russians. I said the Asian boys didn't have a beef with me and didn't want one with the Russians. He had me follow him out to his car so he could give me something. I was scared. He opened up his truck and I pictured myself getting thrown in. I turned my body as if expecting someone to come up behind me. Furio sees this and laughs. "You watch too many movies," he said. He told me that if he wanted to do anything to me he would pay a couple of monkeys to do it for him because they fit in better in jail. Instead, he pulled out a velvet bag and handed it to me. "That's for you for tonight." I walked out to my car without looking at it. I didn't want to look at it in front of him for some reason. He got in his car and drove off. I opened the bag in my car and saw it was a 2-pound gold bar. Worth about $15,000 at the time. I still have it to this day. I had a nest egg of about 6 figures saved up and I left town for a suburb. I ended up getting a few jobs in security and was glad to be out of that life. I ran into one of the Asian boys about 6 months later who was coming out of a restaurant as I walked in. It was odd seeing him in the suburbs and I was suspicious. I was with a girl who was pretty hot and he checked her out. I told her to go inside and get us a table. The Asian boy just complimented me and we caught up for a minute. He laughed and asked, "So did you change your name and stuff?" I was relieved because I knew that he figured I had gone on the run to avoid getting arrested. I told him that I was going by a different name and just laying low. I told him that I didn't know if I could get back in or not. He told me that I shouldn't. He shocked me when he said that no one can do it forever. He said he would get out, but he needed the money. We exchanged numbers and that was it. I never saw him again. About a year later, 2 things happened that changed my life. I saw on the news that LA conducted a huge bust and took down the Asian boys. I saw guys I knew being led in cuffs. I took it as it meant that I was officially out of that life forever. Which was my intention. I later found out that one of the mafioso was a DEA agent. It couldn't have been Furio because he gave me gold. A DEA agent would not have done that. It turned out that the Russian I worked for was pinched for something and agreed to give up the largest X-ring in LA in exchange for immunity. The Russians are pretty wily like that. They won't give up on each other but will sell out a partner. I was fearful that my initial deal with them would mean they would come after me and arrest me next. They never did. I eventually figured that I was perceived as a carrier rather than a dealer. The next thing that happened that changed my life was 9/11 that same year. I felt that I wanted to do something with meaning and leave criminal activity behind completely. I was pissed that the USA was attacked, so I joined the military. 18 years later, I'm out of the military, a combat veteran and own my own legit business.